Hi guys, welcome back to another Matchbox Garage video. I am Rob, and today I'm going to attempt to take this Chevy Pro Stocker from shabby to shabbier. This is a build-off video with my old mate Danny from Danny's Diecast Disasters from New Zealand, and I just fancied to do a Mad Max or Post Apocolyptic car, and who else to do a build-off with for this genre, of course, is Danny. So I sent him a little message and I said, I fancy doing one of these. Do you want to do a build-off? And this was only just a few days ago. And he said, yeah, sure, I'll start now. And he literally started straight away, and here we are. So this Pro Stocker, I think it is perfect for it. And remember, with 2,000 likes, well, this one, it could be yours. But we will start by drilling down the centre of the posts. There are two on this car. We will remove the flange from both and tap both holes. Please do. Remember to lubricate the end of your piece. You do not want to snap it. But here is the Chevy Pro Stocker from 1980. 40 years old this is. And as you can see, it is driving around in circles. What is it? Just a left turn, I think these make. But yeah, this, as you can see, is the number 14 Pepsi car. But indeed, you can read underneath here. It's a Matchbox Superfast. And it's a number 34 from 1980 Chevy Pro Stocker. But I just think that, if I was in the post-apocalypse and I wanted to build a car, what would I want? And I think to start with, a race car, well, that's a good start. But as you can see here, let me just turn that off. But as you can see, there's a lot of something inside this car. I think it's a mixture of dirt, sand, and, well, probably just rust now. But yeah, trying to get a lot of this out. And, make it into a nice little pile before just swapping it to the floor. I do need to vacuum my room, the amount of little bits and pieces that are on my floor now. That'll be a job for the weekend. But yeah, the interior just pops out. Considering this is a Pro Stocker, I was quite surprised at the basic of this interior. I thought there might be, a bucket seat or roll cage, something like that, but not on this one. And yeah, the window section there, I actually really like it. It's got some nice detail on this, but it won't be staying today. That will be going into my little parts box that you will actually see later on. I will introduce to you my little parts bin. But yeah, I need to get this grime off. So just with some warm water. I'm not even going to clean up the main casting here or the interior. But whatever this is, yeah, it's pretty gross. I need to try and get as much of that off. At least the loose stuff. And here we are. As you can see, not a lot come off, to be honest. All the loose stuff did, and the rest of it, it's almost like, like on the side of a boat, you get all the kind of cockles, or is it, I can't even know what they're called, like the sea life that sticks to the side of the boat. Well, that's what it kind of seemed to be, but yeah, it's really on there now. Citadel Known oil I use for these projects. Beautiful thing. And what I like to do is I like to use this as a a base straight from the off. Cover everything. And then I think that this gives me a good understanding on where we are going to go with this project. Now what I will do during this video, otherwise it would just be too long, I'll speed up a few little processes here and there. Sometimes I just cut these out, but I just felt I would add a little bit more detail today. So this is quite a long video. And yeah, if you do stick around to watch the whole thing, well then you are a beautiful person. And there we are. So with this stuff and this kind of genre and, you know, theme of car, you can be rough with it. It doesn't need to be perfect. And really, the more imperfect it is, probably the more realistic it is. There's the grubby interior. I actually don't end up using that interior. I felt I could have done, you know, needed something a little bit extra. But anyway, we'll get to that shortly. But this is a wheel set. As you can see, the car spares that I took it off. And I do enjoy this kind of look, especially on these post-apocalyptic cars. A huge set of rear wheels. You know, this is a powerful car. This is a race car. And I'm about to put a much bigger engine in it. Or motor, as you guys in America tend to call it. But I think with that, some larger wheels just to put down that power is really needed. At the moment, it's just a hair too wide, the car. Not much room. There's enough room, but you know, I want this to be a real roller, and it truly is. It does tear around, this little car. Oh, and I now want to introduce my brand new Dremel Micro, and I want to thank really my patrons. You know, because of you guys, I was able to purchase this this week. But giving you a little sample of how it works. Little light there at the front. When you turn it on, it starts at the medium kind of level, and then you can either turn it up or turn it down. Takes, I think, 3.5 hours to fully charge, and it lasts for quite some time. And yeah, so far so good. So as you see, the wheels were a little bit too snug. So I'm just going to grind away a little bit of this rear arch. And again, I don't need to be kind of exact and perfect with my grinding or cutting. Now, who knows how many years in the future this might be. You know, this car's got panels perhaps from different cars. It's been crashed into, beaten up and re-welded and rusted out, of course. None of these panels and parts of this car are ever going to be perfect. In the post-apocalyptic world, you just grab what you can and adapt. But yeah, that drives a bit better. I'm going to do the other side though. Or did I just do the other side? No, doing it now. course, you want to just go a little by a little. I don't want to take off too much and then it just flops around. I prefer the tighter fit, but usable. And I reckon that is enough now, so yeah, just chucking more onto the floor. And yeah, we've got at least probably 1 millimetre each side once it's in the middle, and that is plenty enough for me to go racing. Now here is my little box of spare parts, and there's everything in here from bases to wheels to almost full castings. But what I was looking for was an engine, and who knows what this is from, but this is going to be the donor engine for our Pro Stocker today. It needs a trim, of course, but I think size wise it's just about right. I've actually since replaced the blade in this little knife. I think I just took it over the edge with these cuts. But anyway, after tidying it up, smoothing it out, that's how she's going to sit on the in the engine. Now it's a bit of a shame because just to see that little bit of a Pepsi sign there on the bonnet. But I will cut this out and fit the engine from underneath. So as you can see here, now it's not perfect, but in the post-apocalyptic world, it's not going to be straight. But I'm going to force that engine in that hole and then glue it down. And there we have it. And whilst I was also in my parts bin, I found this little interior, and it is, well, not too bad a size. Not only has it got like a single race seat, but it's also got a roll cage, and I just think that'll be better suited to start with, let alone now. Giving it a little trial fit. As you can see, quite the gap there. Compared to the original interior, it's a lot longer. So what I'm going to have to do is trim up a lot of this rear end. probably took 5mm off in just that little section there. But of course, you know, that's nowhere near what we need to do. And certainly a lot more is need to be cut out in order for this to fit. So this is when I, you know, took the original and tried to figure out, so what, you know, what is it that I need to remove? And it's almost this whole back end. So I'm going to really trim this up. And as you can see here, I've managed to keep the actual roll cage, but everything that was underneath here is now removed. So when I put that into position, trying to make sure it's in the middle, and now fit the base. Needs a little bit more fettling, but as you can see, that is now flush, and she is home in there. Single seat, happy with that. Another thing that I found in the box was this snow plough. And I thought, oh, that's a good idea. Of course, with a post-apocalyptic car, not only have you got to consider power to, you know, get away from the enemy or get to the next thing. Of course, you've got to think about the offense, but also the defense. And I'm thinking, you know, where can I use this? The front is almost very plough-like anyway, but perhaps the back, the underside of the car, is pretty exposed, and you know, maybe we can reverse and crash into things and, you know, defend the rear end of the car. So I'm thinking if I can attach this snow plough here to the rear of the car, and that'll do a good job. But I do want to give this a little lick of paint. So I'll just use my matte black and give it the little once over. As I'm painting this, I'm wondering, you know, what is Danny doing? Of course, you must check out his video. The links to his video and his channel will be down in the description below, and I'm sure it will be down in the comment section as well, so you know, please do check out his video if you haven't done already. To be honest, Danny's much better than the post-apocalyptic stuff than I am. I watch his videos to learn, to be honest. So it's a privilege to be able to do a build off with him. But yeah, as you can see, another little sped up video, but I wanted to show you the whole thing using my Dremel here with my little attachment. I wanted to, so my style, I guess, on these post-apocalyptic cars is to try and keep some of the original paint and style of the car. So of course there was a lot of paint, you know, that had gone from this car, but I wanted to try and keep as much as that as possible. So when I've gone over this car, I've gone over the bits that the paint had already come off, so trying not to actually touch the paint that is remaining. But yeah, there's a lot of battle scars there, and the basis for some rust action. But now we have a lot of kind of exposed and shiny metal, so I'm going to give it the go over again with the Citadel Nuln Oil. And as I said earlier, there's no right or wrong way to do this, or at least in my opinion. You know, I just slather this on, let it dry, and as you can see, it kind of dries in certain areas, darker and lighter, and I think this stuff is great. But now I'm going to move on to my old rust, the Viejo pigments. I've got lots of different ones, but I like this old rust. I think this one is the best. And the method I tend to use is super glue. I'll super glue in the areas that I want the rust to be, and then attach the actual pigment, and it gets absolutely everywhere. But yeah, this super glue here, I'd only used, you know, very recently, you know, probably within the last 10, 15, 20 minutes, and for some reason the glue just no longer wants to come out. But it's really good glue, and yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but at the same time we could just take the lid off and then I'll just use the toothpick. So the good thing about this, you can put rust wherever you want. Of course, you should consider on a car where rust normally comes, around the arches or around the bottom end of the car. But after that, you place it wherever you want to put it. There's no right or wrong here. The one thing to expect, especially if you use super glue, you're going to get it everywhere. And with this pigment as well. But there you go, there's a little start to the rust in action. And then I shall do that to the rest of the car. You can actually see all over my hands, not only this pigment, but super glue stuck to my fingers. And but yeah, looking at the rust here, really happy with that. There you go. It eventually comes off. And like I say, I'm rubbing on that quite hard. It's not coming off. Start thinking about what I want to do for the windows shortly. But before I do that, I was having a look at the engine. Of course, we've got a couple of holes in it, so I thought a couple of stacks will look good. So just looking around in my little parts box and toolbox for something that would just about fit in. And then just randomly cut to a certain length. my very handy vise. But yeah, this actually fits in here absolutely perfect. I will hit it up with a little dab of glue on from the underside after both stacks, and using a little bit of a black paint on the tops of the stacks there makes it look as if they're open and hollow. But yeah, onto the windows now. I use this, which is a mosquito net. I don't think you could get any better than this. Perfect scale. But yeah, I'll glue it from the underside. And again, you know, if you could glue it from the outer. You know, if I'm gonna weld this on in an abandoned factory or warehouse or something like that, I don't know whether I'm gonna be too fussed about how it looks. I'll probably just weld it straight onto the top. Or if it's too short, too long, it probably doesn't matter. If there's any holes in it or dents or whatever, you can go with it. I actually could only find this little bit of netting. I've got a load of it somewhere, but anyway, I managed to do 3 of the sides. And then I thought, well, for something a little bit different anyway, like a bit of a different look, I went with the can, which is like a soda pop can, and yeah, glued that in, and then drilled a couple of holes in it. You know, you need to be able to see perhaps out the side. And then digging into my little stash of Post Apocolyptic stuffs from when I used to do the Mad Max Mondays. Here's some items here that were sent to me by Camseal, and I will link their description in the below. They have a Facebook page and do all these 3D parts for Gaslands and post-apocalyptic stuffs, and yeah, one of very few companies certainly that I know of, and are good at what they do. But yeah, I've got this little gun here, and I'm just thinking, where do I put it? You know, the roof, the door, the bonnet. But I do like the roof, and I think about there will do just fine. Throw a little bit of paint on there, and then whilst they were drying, one of my, I guess, traits or trademark, I don't know what you want to call it, but I do like to paint the headlights yellow on these post-apocalyptic cars. And this is how I paint all of my headlights, whether I'm using white or chrome or yellow in this case. Now, there's not actually any headlights to paint. You know, bearing in mind this is a race car, so they're just probably flat. So I'm having to just guess and then just try to make circles. And there we have it. Pretty happy with how they come out, to be honest. And now that we've got the gun attached to the top, and I've put that barrel and also some chains around that barrel to keep it on. But I think I'm going to do the final assembly plus a few final little bits off of camera. So here's a little reminder of what we started with. And this is the final result. So some mean stance to that. Looks like we've run over a couple of people. You got this bash bar at the rear end of the car. It's hiding a little bit of the detail, which is, I don't know, it's a bit of a shame, but you know, it's It is how I would want it in real life. And yeah, it looks like we've claimed someone who's just nice and fresh sitting on the back of the bonnet there. But anyway, I've had fun doing this one. And with 2,000 likes, it could be yours to play with. And please do remember to have a look down at Danny's video. I'm sure he will absolutely smash this one, as he always does. But anyway, thanks to my patrons, especially, you know, with my new Dremel. I appreciate you guys. And thanks everybody else for watching. I'll see you soon.